Hey everybody, we're all here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have extraordinary honor of pleasure of catching up with a good friend with whom we've been in touch for a long, long time. He needs almost no introduction. Cheikh Ndoye, yay!
Hey, Raul, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, Sheikh. The last time we spoke, 2018, but as I mentioned, we've been staying in touch for now a really long time. So if anybody wants to know about that stuff, I recommend go to Bass Musician Magazine. In the search, just look up Cheikh Ndoye, and you can find an abundance of content and material. But we've got some catching up to do. Since we spoke in 2018, you've got a new album in the works. It's very exciting. Genetic Tones. Let's talk a little bit about this project. As we speak, it's not done yet. It's supposed to release next year, 2026. We're in
Yeah.
2025 right now, but some really exciting stuff. I've been listening to some of the kind of rough tracks so far, and it's super impressive. Tell us about this project.
Well, it's been a minute actually that we since the last interview. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's a lot happened in between, but yeah, I've been working on this concept, this album called the Genetic Tones, almost done now, and lots of musicians featured in this album, recorded all over the world. So now the word genetic tones is like talking about music lives in us almost like a DNA, So that's the idea behind this album. We carry rhythms, melodies, and emotions, from our background. So life experience, basically, That's what this album is covering.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
and in the tracks that I've been listening to, the bits, there's certainly some just another wealth of interesting time signatures and syncopation. And again, because of my background, the Afro-Antillean, which I know the roots are African, but again, you've brought together a bunch of musicians, even including on bass. This is another time you're using another bassist, Otil. So,
You, you know what's really funny? They're like this album actually because the way that I write, think of certain things, certain sounds, and certain styles,
mhm.
and actually, It's basically a bass player album that has other bass players in it. Covering that range. I have Otil. I have also Mama Duba, who's also another great bass player. Plays with Lenny Stern as well. So Otil, I've met Otil through my friend Weedy Brima because I play with Weedy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's like a djembe fola. He's an incredible musician. And I play in his band called Hands of Time. So we were playing at the Blue Note in New York. At that time, we had like two bassists, me and Otil.
Hmm.
The idea came from when I did like a duet with him at the Blue Note, couple of basses, trading back and forth. And I'm like, this could be an interesting idea. And then, I've been writing a lot of stuff. At some point, I was thinking maybe I should just reach out to him and see if he'll be interested in doing it. So he was down and he loved the tune that he recorded on. It's really
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
And are all the tunes your original compositions? Or I remember on the Sons of Africa, you had done, I think, a Jocko piece too.
Yeah, I've done like Continuum, the one that I've featured Mike Stern and other musicians like Raul Pineda drums. But this album, all the tunes are original songs.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them. I'm thinking of adding one more tune, which is from my friend Arshak Sirunian. Of Arshak, he's the piano player from Armenia. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a great composer too. But most of the songs, all of the tunes are original. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, and I know it's so with the evolution of music, we have difficulty kind of categorizing. I know it certainly would fall within world music because of the time signatures and the instruments and all this,
Yeah.
but also it falls kind of in the realm of jazz, perhaps because of a lot of these elements.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, when I write songs, I don't tend to categorize, I just write, like, I just love writing. I do
Mhm.
this all the time. But, until we get to certain points within the writing, the process, sometimes I just think of crazy ideas, get something from Morocco, like some kind of a rhythm now or stuff, or some different I don't know, but that's it comes to me that way. So I don't specifically think of certain specific like genre for that. You know,
Got you.
it's hard to describe though. Once you listen to the whole album, you get to hear a lot of different directions. You know, so yeah.
Nice. Well, and it is wonderful because there is so much musical richness through across the world. And when you can tap into some of those things, as I've had the unique opportunities to speak to so many people from different places, you kind of go, okay, just in time signatures alone. I mean, if you look at what we're exposed to in general in popular music, so much is just 4/4 straightforward stuff. And it's so plain. I mean,
I'll tell you a little story because I sent this album to Brian Bromberg to listen to it. Man, he was like, he sent me just like one phrase, like, man, so sweet, nothing in 4/4.
exactly.
Yeah, and actually, honestly, I never thought about it that way. But and I was like, man, he's right. Actually, there's nothing in 4/4 here. It's an interesting process of writing, composing. But I mostly think, as a bass player, I mostly think of melodies first,
Hmm.
and that's how I kind of tailor that to what I have grown up listening to, what I've learned, and all the experiences. Yeah,
Nice.
this album represent that the genetic tones. That's how I feel that the record should be called. Yeah,
Very nice. Well,
yeah,
and if everything goes as planned, and I always state that we're looking at a release in April of 2026.
correct. Yes. So there's like a little pressure there,
Yeah.
trying to get things. Also I have many drummers actually on this album. I don't know if I told you, Sonny Emery's on the drums as well.
Okay.
There's Raul Pineda. There is Gene Coy who plays with Hiromi as well. And I like the fact that there's like a variety of drummers in this album. And still like trying to the last tunes trying to get one more drummer on that. And I think it's gonna. There's like Rodney Barreto, who's a great drummer as well.
Mm.
Yeah, he's an incredible from Cuba as well. So I've been talking to him to get a couple of tunes done.
Nice. Well, and it is such a difference, especially again, I relate in the Latin aspect because it's not unusual in Latin music to have a whole percussive section where you have maybe somebody on a drum kit, somebody on timbales, you have congas, you have bongo, you can have cowbell, you can have maracas, and any other thing. I mean, you could have a team of 4 or 5 people just for your percussive segment of this, which is so unique.
Yeah, it's so there's actually I have to retrieve this because there is one song that actually I'm working on that's from Jesus Diaz. He's a Cuban. I don't
Okay.
know if I have sent it to you. I'm not sure. It's unfinished, but I played like a fretless six on that, and it's a beautiful tune. Just a Cuban, all Cuban man with the vocals, background, and everything. It sounds beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a mix of things. Yeah,
Very cool. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned sound because the last time we had talked, you were working on your ngoni, going
yeah,
from a 3 to a 4 string. The one you
yeah.
had back was a 3, but also I think you've been playing a new Schecter that sounds very interesting. Tell us a little bit about how you're getting your sound.
Oh yeah, with well, first from Dangoni, I still play the three, but moving to the four, there's more variety. I was in Poland recently with an artist called Leszek, he's a piano player, with Mino Sinelu, my brother, and then Tia Fuller on saxophone, and Terry Carrington was on drums on that stuff. So I've used mostly Dangoni, playing Dangoni. It was really interesting aspect of playing jazz, and using that instrument on that. It actually fit really, really well. We played some Herbie songs too
Oh,
on that.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been working on this Ngoni for a while. I'm still working on it to kind of tweak it on, when it comes to but it sounds great already. But I'm there are certain elements that I need to kind of fix on that
Nice.
Ngoni. Yeah. But it's a beautiful instrument. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
You close your eyes, it sounds almost like a stand-up bass. Yeah,
That's incredible. And with so much less size.
yeah, yeah. It's a 31-inch instrument and a rawhide skin.
Okay.
Yeah, with natural rosewood fretboard. So it's pretty cool. But going through Schecter, Schecter has been actually really great. I've been talking to Adam Murphy. Again, I got the hookup through my friend Weedy Brahima. Was like,
Mhm.
man, you need to try those Schecter basses. I was like, oh, sure, man. And that's, long story. He sent me like a couple of bass. I tried them out. I was like, man, they sound great. I took them on the road, played, and it's amazing. So just did a video playing Continuum, Jaco Pastorius demo Schecter, the T5 exotic bass with the Black Limba wood, which has like a full body tone. It's really cool.
Sweet. Well, and
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, stereotypically, a lot of us tend to think Schecter rock immediately. So
Yeah.
it's a jazz bass from what I can see, and it
Yeah.
looks kind of a simplified, electronic and setup, but it sounds great.
Yeah. I look at it this way, I mean, if you hand that bass to anybody, like a bass player, like I mean, the late Jacko or anyone else, it would
Mhm.
sound great on. And I think it's also the bass, but also it's the personality and the fingers, and all that stuff. So the tone. But yeah, if you have those basses are really nice basses and well set up. I've used the fretless six string on the road when I went to Brazil with Weedy. That was a suicide mode for me because I was like, I never played fretless, like six string fretless, and that's all I took on the road. We went to South America, and I was like, okay, I need to figure this out on the road. Musician, but it came out really. It went really well. So yeah. It
Nice.
went really well. Yeah, really loved it. Yeah.
Nice. And then for amplification, if I recall correctly, you were with Aguilar?
Yes, I'm with Aguilar. Yeah, still with Aguilar. Aguilar very helpful anywhere around the world. Like I always, most of the time, I want to say 90% I get the Aguilar gears. Yeah,
Nice.
so very consistent on the road. Yeah, yeah. So
That's good to hear. Any other new elements to your sound or any things that you decided are influential? I know you do so much with your hands. You're not a big pedal guy or anything like that.
yeah, I rarely use pedals. I mean, I like, but the delay pedals, volume and all that, just regular things. But
Hmm.
mostly, like I've been working on my. There are certain techniques that I use with an instrument from actually based on this one right here. It's called the halam in Wolof in Senegal, and I use that technique with going back and forth with the two fingers. So that's how I also try to implement that on my bass playing. And it's very unique. So it's a very unique sound. It's almost like you muting and then doing this. So I'll probably maybe do a lesson, like a video, on that one day. So 'cause a lot of people tend to ask me, "How do you do this? How do you?" Yes, those double stocks and all that. Yeah.
Nice. Well, hopefully it's a lesson that we can learn. I know a lot of times there's lessons I look at it and I go, "Oh, I can't do that," and
Right.
I'll
Right.
let Shake
Yeah.
do it. He's good at it.
Oh well, many techniques out there, but yeah. But I love the foundation of the bass, just
Mhm.
playing groove, simple and playing groove, which is really important. Not to forget that's our role,
Yeah.
as a bass player, just play the foundation, and then if you adding other things, yeah. But that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. Well, and as we look ahead, I know we've talked about genetic tones. Do you
Hmm.
have any other plans in the work? Are you thinking of touring on the album, or what have you got coming up in 2026?
Yeah, working on some dates actually, once this record is out.
Hmm.
So most likely some in Africa, doing some touring in Africa and in Europe. So that's the plan right now. That's in the work right now. But right now, just focusing on getting the music done. Yeah, we're almost there though, but just the little things. I'm sure you heard most of it. I mean, the rough ones, right? The
Hmm.
rough
Hmm.
mixes, yeah. But this album has so many. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but I think people will love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting that you describe them as rough. Again, in my ears, they sounded very smooth and polished. I know you're being a perfectionist. You're going, okay, I got a little more to engineer. I have to tweak a little here, but
Yeah, I can't let it go out like that without, even for myself, that's before I hand it to the engineer, I make sure that I do all the gain staging and everything, like pre-mix so that it makes it easier for the engineer to kind of, process the music and mix it. So,
no,
yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
that's very important too, because since you are a bassist, you want to accentuate your bass parts. And I do find that unfortunately, a fair amount of engineers will bring down the bass and accentuate everything else. And I've had this conversation with countless people. Brian Bromberg is a great example. He's very
yeah,
involved in his whole recording process, all the way
yeah,
from the room. I mean, it's just basically how things are going to get focused. But that's why with his recordings, you hear him so well
yeah,
because he has put that emphasis on that. And I can't tell you how many times I've listened to some tracks that are amazing players, but you're kind of going, I can hardly hear them. And it's because they've been
yeah.
dropped in the mix and the vocalist is on top or the lead guitarist is on top. And you're like, oh, where's the bass? I want to hear him. Come on.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, for me, it's like the bass and also the percussion.
Exactly.
Percussions are always like, really drop very low, very, very low. It's almost like non-existent. I'm not to bash like the engineers or anything, but I know the way that I've grown up, like percussions are like up there and
Mm-hmm.
bass as well. Bass is such an important element that moves, the parts of all the, melodies and all that stuff. So it's important for the bass to be present there, and that's why these past couple of years, maybe three, I've been talking to Jimmy Haslip actually about mixing, the tunes because I need another set of ear to
Gotcha.
get to hear, see what other people think. So he's one of the guys that I trust in when it comes to that too. So
Very
yeah.
nice. Very
But
nice.
yeah, it's super important to get that sound up there with the bass, and especially my album has so many, like there's so many things in there, like especially percussion, it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be present as well, as important as the bass. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with how the public identifies with the music. A lot of your percussive bass bits are the things that people feel that make them stand up and dance and move with the music. If you're just going to sit there and listen, then you don't really need as much of the percussive other stuff. And I think in a lot of popular music, people feel the bass, they
Yeah.
just don't know that it's there. They would miss it if it's not, but they don't really go,
Exactly.
oh, yeah. I mean, so many of the classic tunes, when you start dissecting,
Yeah.
I was listening to some of Lee Sklar's work,
Oh wow.
and he's got some very subtle things, but they so make the tune. A lot of
Yeah.
his work with James Taylor and Phil Collins that you're going, oh, I didn't realize the bass was doing that, but there it was the whole time,
Yeah.
and I felt it, but it didn't quite register as much. But very exciting stuff. What we should, I do want to make sure we ask for people if they want to know where to look to find out about genetic tones, or if you're touring or anything. Where's the best place for people to
Yeah. Actually, on Instagram, I'm pretty active on
current?
Instagram. The genetic tones itself, if you like search genetic tones, you'll find me.
Nice.
That's one of the best places. Not much on Facebook, but yeah, you can find me on Instagram, even on TikTok nowadays. Yeah, you have to, keep up with the technology now.
Hmm.
So yeah, Instagram would be the best place to find me. Yeah.
Very good. Very good to
Yeah.
know. Well, Sheikh, it's so great to get caught up with you. Very excited about the new album. We're looking forward April 2026 of having it hit the streets to let the general public have the chance and opportunity to listen to what we've already had the pleasure of looking at a little bit in depth. But folks, mark your calendars, get out there, keep your eyes out for Genetic Tones. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with us. You've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine, Sheikh Ndoye.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you to Bass Musician Magazine.